Hello everybody, this is going to be hopefully a brief video in which I discuss the beautiful is good stereotype. So first, what is it? So the beautiful is good stereotype refers to this phenomenon whereby people tend to assume all sorts of positive qualities about attractive people. Now I'm not going to address whether or not there is a universal attractive standard. I address that in other videos. Please go watch those videos. Here I'm just going to talk about the beliefs people have about attractive others. So work dating back to the 70s shows that we tend to assume that people who are physically attractive, people who we consider to be physically attractive, have all sorts of positive qualities, and we tend to believe that they'll have all sorts of positive events in their lives. So we tend to think that they're outgoing, we tend to think that they're smarter, we tend to think that they will have more success in their life, that they'll have both, and that success will be both, in their personal lives, so that we think that they'll have more, an easier time of finding romantic partners, and in their professional lives, we tend to think that they'll have more financial success. And what we see is that that belief plays out in our everyday lives, in our major decisions about like who we vote for, things like that. So, for example, among men, height is related to attraction. So taller men tend to be rated as being more attractive, and that plays into major decisions like who we vote for president. American presidents tend to be really tall. All right, the average height of an American man is 5'9". The shortest president in the last 30 years was George W. George W. is 5'11" to 6 foot. All right, so even the shortest American president in the last 30 years was tall by the standards of the average American man. So, and again, as I said, height for men is related to attractiveness. So we get people are, and I'm sure they didn't make a decision based on, oh, they're pretty tall, I'm going to vote for them. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily a conscious decision, but certainly we know that people assume positive things of attractive people. And among men, being taller taller men are rated as being more attractive. So it might have contributed in an indirect way. Certainly, there are other places where its contribution, is far more blatant, right? Let's stick with talking about how it might affect voting behavior. Way back in the 60s, when Kennedy, I guess it would have been the late 50s, but when Kennedy was running against Nixon, right? They had a debate, all right, and it was the first televised presidential debate. But because at the time TVs weren't as widely owned as they are today, a huge chunk of the population watched it on the TV, but another huge chunk of the population listened to it on the radio. And there was this interesting dichotomy that developed among people's beliefs about who won. Those who had watched it thought Kennedy had won. Those who had listened to it on the radio thought that either Nixon had won or that there was no clear winner. All right. Well, why? Why did most of the people who watched it why did they think that Kennedy won? Kennedy was a handsome man. All right. In fact, Nixon supposedly wasn't feeling very good that night and didn't appreciate the consequence of his appearance would have on people's evaluations of his performance in the debate. And so he looked kind of sickly that night. And so Kennedy, who was already a very handsome man, was sat next to a man who was looking sickly, who hadn't put a lot of effort into his looks. And so by comparison, Kennedy looked far more attractive. And so that beautiful is good stereotype may have benefited people's assessments of Kennedy's performance over Nixon's. So the beautiful is good stereotype can affect our decisions on very consequential decisions, like who we vote for president. But the beautiful is good stereotype can also have very real world, everyday effects for us. For example, some research suggests that teachers tend to give more attention to their more physically attractive students. All right, potentially ultimately leading to physically attractive students having slightly better grades, or at least slightly better test performance. So this beautiful is good stereotype does seem to have some consequences for when it comes to life success, like career success. The beautiful is good stereotype seems to be consequential to the point that there seems to be a beauty premium. All right, people who are physically attractive tend to have an easier time of getting jobs. People who are physically attractive tend to get paid more. All right, so the beautiful is good stereotype does seem to have a lot of consequences. And ultimately, this leads to people who are physically parts of the stereotype being verified. Specifically, people tend to assume that attractive people will do better in their careers, and that seems to bear out to some extent. But what about the assumptions about their qualities? Are they more intelligent? Are they outgoing? Well, that evidence is mixed. Like I mentioned, people who are physically attractive seem to do better on tests, but whether or not they're, and there is some evidence that they seem to be a little bit more outgoing. But then the question becomes, well, why? Are attractive people inherently more outgoing? Well, there is the possibility that it's not necessarily a physically attractive people they're born a certain way. Rather, more than likely, what happens is that you get this kind of feedback loop, or this cycle with the beliefs about attractive people. If people think that attractive people are going to be more outgoing, they may be more likely to talk to them. People are more likely to talk to those who initiate a conversation with them. And so, you may have this almost self-fulfilling prophecy type situation going on, where over time, beliefs about attractive people shape attractive people, all right, to be more outgoing, all right. The greater attention from the teachers might lead them to, get more help in developing their knowledge set. So over time, the belief might shape attractive people who are physically attractive, all right. It might encourage them to maintain their physical attractiveness, right? So physically attractive people who get the benefits of being physically attractive may then take more efforts to groom themselves, to exercise and stay fit. And so you may just get this nexus of events that shape physically attractive people to having certain qualities, at least a little bit, and then leading them to want to maintain the premium that they get from being attractive. And so they start behaving in a whole host of ways, exercise, etc., that sustain it. And so the beautiful is good stereotype can have a whole host of consequences, ranging from everyday experiences all the way up to who gets elected for president. And so for that reason, the beautiful is good stereotype continues to get studied today. I myself have done some research addressing the beautiful is good stereotype. All right, guys, that is it for this video covering the beautiful is good stereotype. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. If not, I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you later.